Without further ado, I'd like to pass the stage for the ZigBee Exploited talk. Tobias and Sebastian, welcome.
So hello and welcome to our talk on ZigBee security. The session title is ZigBee Exploited, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to start and introduce ourselves. So my name is Tobias. I work as IT auditor in Vienna, Austria. So I do the penetration testing, security audits, all that kind of stuff. So I also have a personal interest in this topic because I also own a ZigBee-based home automation system. So I would appreciate if the security gets better in this area. Today with me is my colleague.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm working as a principal auditor for Cognizant in Vienna. In my spare time, I'm building drones, still trying to get the HD first-person view on the drone to work. And I also own a Z-Wave home automation system, which might change if we are able to break that too later on.
So what is the agenda? What are we talking about today? I want to start with a short introduction. What is ZigBee? Where is it used? Why it is important? Then, as you might see, our session is split in three sections, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this reflects actually the journey we made in analyzing the security measures in ZigBee. So at the first, it looks quite good, then it gets bad, and the real-world implementations are very ugly. We will also do a live demonstration about a lock. So we brought some devices. As you might see later, then we are IT guys and not very skilled in working with wood. So it's not the most beautiful one, but it works. Then we would conclude a short summary and give an outlook. What are the next points, what we are doing, and what the vendors should do. So what it's about. Actually, ZigBee is a wireless communication standard, very often used in the Internet of Things, but also wide out there in the industry for industrial control system, for example. We will focus today on home automation systems, and especially also smart lighting systems, because they are quite popular and they are getting to the end user at the moment. So what is ZigBee? It was designed for low-cost, low-power devices with the main goal of energy saving. So a typical ZigBee-powered device is battery-powered. It's designed to be installed and out in the field for a couple of years without maintaining. So the focus is really energy saving. It's also reliable because it's two-way. You get your messages acknowledged, which is quite good for the kind of devices. And it applies a 4-layer stack, which is very easy. So you have a physical, a MAC, a network, an application layer. Actually, the physical and the MAC layer are built on the IEEE 802.15.4 standard, and ZigBee is just implementing a network and application layer. So the network, obviously, for networking issues, and on the application layer, the commands are sent and data is transmitted. So where is it used? Mentioned before, it's big now in home automation, but it's also used for healthcare devices, remote controls, smart lighting, smart metering, and also industrial control systems. So I read an article today in the news. I was very excited about that. Some guys in Austin, they built a drone with a ZigBee sniffing device, and they flew over Austin. And within 18 minutes, they discovered 800 ZigBee-enabled devices in residential areas. So that's actually what we are doing, home automation devices. So they're on the rise, and that's, I liked it. Build a drone, it's always good. So to support this, why it is important, I brought some numbers. They are actually from a Gartner study. So you see on the bars, the amount of devices out there is quite on the rise. This means back in 2009, there were 0.9 billion IoT devices there, and they expect to be 26 billion in 2020. So it's a Gartner study. It might happen, but the trend is certainly the right direction. This is underlined by a statement from the Samsung CEO, beginning of this year, I think. He said that every Samsung newly built device will be part of the IoT till 2019. So every thing Samsung is buying will be connected. Not buying, building is connected. Very interesting. What is also supporting our field of research for the home automation is that they also predict that 500 smart devices are included in a typical household by 2022. That's quite a huge number of devices, and I'm very curious how this will work out. So the trend is going in wireless communications, because wired would be some kind of crazy, because when you have 500 wired devices, you will have to build a NOC in the cellar and have a household CIO and such kind of stuff. This won't work. So for me, also very important thing is why should we apply security in this area? A lot of people ask me, why should I do security? Because I just do lighting. Yeah, I don't mind if anybody is controlling my lights or that kind of stuff. So that's actually just the beginning. We brought today a door lock, which actually maybe illustrates it more, that there is a real danger out there. But also, home automation includes home. For me, home requires high privacy. So I don't want anybody to get my personalized data. When you are able to monitor a home automation system, you know when are people coming, leaving, going to sleep, what they're doing the whole day. So that's my private stuff. And I also brought a quote today from the former CIA director, David Petraeus. Items of interest will be located, identified, monitored, and remotely controlled through radio technologies such as radio frequency identification, sensor networks, tiny embedded servers, and energy harvesters, all connected to the Internet of Things. So this means there is actually an interest in there, and this illustrates it, because that's actually what ZigBee is. So now dig into it. What security measures are provided by ZigBee? In the first look, it's quite good. So they're applying symmetric encryption, message authentication, integrity protection, and replay protection. They're also doing, what they're also doing good, in my opinion, is they're not doing their own cryptography stuff. They're using AES and CCM mode with a 128-bit key, which is quite, I think it's appropriate for the kind of devices. Why I mention this especially is I did some research in home automation security, and a lot of vendors do own cryptographic stuff. They're doing variations of AES they create on their own, which is totally crap. We know that as security community, don't do your crypto on your own when you don't have knowledge in this field. So they're also providing integrity protection up to 128-bit and replay protection, which they added some years ago. It's a frame counter for 4 byte. This means every command sent from one device to another has this frame counter, and it gets increased, so you can't replay your messages and commands. So this looks quite nice, so they thought about security. What else about security? Interesting thing is that you are only able to choose one security level per network. What does this mean? So the weakest device in your network will determine your security level. Usually we will do home automation. You automate your whole home. This means your door lock will be applying the same security level as your light switch. And light switches, for example, don't even have batteries sometimes. They're just gathering the transmission power by pressing the button. So you can imagine how much resources they have for doing cryptography or such kind of stuff. So that's quite bad, actually. So as they're doing symmetric encryption, the security is obviously based on the encryption keys. They apply 2 kinds of keys, which are important for us. These are network keys, so that's used on the network layer for broadcast communication. So every messages are encrypted on this level. So, and the key is shared among all devices. So every device in your network knows this key, so they can do message forwarding, routing, and that kind of stuff in an encrypted way. For devices that require higher security, like door locks, they provide link keys, so-called. They are used for unicast communication, and they're only available for 2 devices. So not every device should be able to open the door lock. So I brought some points from the ZigBee specification, actually. They say the trust in their security architecture is reduced to the secure initialization, installation, processing, and storage of their key material, obviously. So we will cover today the first 3 points. The storage was done in a talk on ZigBee in the past, but it showed very drastically how easy it is to extract key material out of ZigBee devices. They're built for low cost, so they're not temper resistant, and it's very easy to get the key out. So how are the keys exchanged now? So ZigBee specifies 3 different ways to exchange the key. The first is they are pre-installed by the vendors, which means they know each other, the devices. We've seen this once in the real world, and it's okay. So there is no key exchange or some kind. They know each other. But when you want to add unknown devices to your system, you will have to implement some kind of key transport mechanisms. So there was a problem in the past. They did it unencrypted. So when a device wanted to join a network, they asked the trust center, which is a special device in a ZigBee network, for the actual network key, and the key was sent in plain text. So everybody who could sniff it was able to read the messages and also inject commands. What is good, actually, is that they recommend out-of-band key transfer, which is, you might know from Wi-Fi routers. So there is a sticker on it. You enter the code and you hub for the initial connection, and you are aware what device is joining to what router. They recommend it. They do a lot of recommendations on security there, which are actually quite good. But they recommend, but not require. That's the problem. So the third option is key establishment. So the keys get derived from master keys, but that's actually, you also need to have pre-installed key material, which is a variation of the first one. So for establishing a trust relationship between the devices, you have 2 options, actually, pre-installed or do a key transport. So they provide security, which is actually good. They thought about it, doing good recommendations, how you should do it. But then you have to look how the devices really communicate. So they're using application profiles. And application profiles are designed to allow communication between devices. So vendors agreed on a message format. The application profiles describe how you should send commands, how you should proceed commands, and they also have included some attributes called startup attribute sets. They are designed to provide interoperability and compatibility. They are really interesting from a security point of view because every device has to implement and support these startup attribute sets, and they contain some very interesting information. So that's our 3 attributes from the home automation application profile. As you see, the first is a default trust interlink key. What is a default trust interlink key? As you might have noticed before, so when a device wants to join a network, it asks the trust center for the key. So in the past, they did it in plain, so they sent the key unencrypted. Now, they are building in a fallback mechanism using this key to join devices. So on top of that, you have a second attribute called use default link key join. This means every device has to support a fallback using this default key for transmitting and exchanging the key set. So as a penetration tester, this rang my bells because I thought, how could I downgrade the key exchange to enforce this fallback? Because then I know the key, everybody knows it's publicly available, and I can sniff the key and take over control over the network. I thought about selective jamming, whatever, but as we will see, it's not sophisticated. It's very easy what we have to do. The third one is actually also very interesting. It's a return to factory default. This means every device has to support a return to factory command. So what is this? So when you want to sell a device or throw it away, you would want to make sure that the key material gets deleted of your device. So, and what's also interesting is the second purpose, in my opinion, of this command is to, if devices lose a synchronization, so this means if there is a key update and the device don't get the new key, it won't accept new commands because it only accepts encrypted commands. And if you apply the wrong encryption key, it won't get accepted anymore. So you are not able to control the system anymore. So you have to apply return to factory default, and you can then start again, join it to your network. We will take advantage of that feature in one of our demonstrations. So the second one we looked at was the light link. Philips Hue, for example, is applying that. So first statement is very good from a security perspective. So it's required to do it encrypted. So there are no ZigBee light link networks out there, they are unencrypted. Yeah. But as you see, the second point is then very interesting for us. The security architecture is based on a secret master key. So, but this master key is included in every device, and they are doing key encryption with this master key. This means they're not using the default key as the home automation for the kind of stuff, and they have a master key for that. And manufacturers have contracts and get feed when they release it. But as we learned, a security community, security by obscurity does not work. So don't rely on that. Because what might happen is that the key gets disclosed. And when it's out, it's out. So you can now decrypt every key exchange. It's very funny because one user starting this year in March or April posted this on Twitter, and the posts are getting deleted all the time. So he posted on Reddit and whatever forum, but it always gets deleted. So make sure the key lives. So, but we know when it's on the internet, you won't delete it. Somebody will have it. That's really funny to watch the race between them, deleting, posting. What else is in the Lightlink application profile? There is an attribute called NWK all fresh, which means do not check the frame counter. We've heard the frame counter is responsible for replay protection. The startup attribute says do not check the frame counter. Okay, so we should be able to replay it now. All Lightlink devices are also able to join home automation networks, so they also have to apply the trust center link key, the default one, and the usage of the insecure join. So, short recap, we learned there are security measures provided, they're actually good, but requirements due to interoperability weakens them drastically. So we then had a look into real-world implementations and made sure what are other vendors really applying. So, very funny thing, in the official statement about the ZigBee security in the specification, the people who wrote the specification were aware of that you have to test it and to implement it really with security in mind. So, and they recommended that all security services should be implemented and tested by security experts. I want to meet the security experts because there is some, we should talk about some stuff there. So, and as an example for wrong or bad implementations, we will bring up a service called request key. So, usually it's meant to be when devices want to establish link keys, one device asks the other one, give me a link key, and now we will establish link keys and communicate using these keys for encryption. But it also states that you could use it for active network key requests. But I don't get it why you should do this, because when you don't apply encryption, there is no network key. When you apply encryption, you should have the network key to send a correct command. So, because otherwise the other device won't accept this. So I would request the key, encrypt it with the key I was requesting. That makes no sense. So I started looking out online, how do the people implement this kind of stuff? So I then found an open source stack on ZigBee, and the developers had the same questions. So they were not sure, they were very confused. What should they do? What kind of command should they accept? They had no idea. I also have no idea what you should do, because this makes no sense. What's also interesting in there is that they don't implement application keys. This means they only implement network layer security, and you can't do device-to-device encryption using this open source stack, which is actually bad. So what do? Then they asked. They are not sure about it, but then they do just send it plain, do an unsecure key transfer. Yeah, that's the baddest thing you can do in this case. So you have now the weak key exchange, and you have also potential for wrong implementations of so-called security services like the request key service. So we then headed out to do some real-world assessments, to have some fun. We bought a door lock. We had a smart home automation system, 2 lighting solutions, and we checked them for the implementation of security. So the results are quite ugly, to stick to the topic. So all tested systems just implemented this default trust center link key for securing the initial key exchange. We don't have to do any kind of downgrading or disruptions of the key exchange. They're just doing it. So they are not doing unencrypted key exchange like in the past. So now they encrypted with a publicly known key. That's the same, actually. Also, they don't apply link keys. No implementation applies link keys. So this means when you have one key, you are able to control the whole network. That's quite cool, because we know we could extract it. The key could be extracted from the device, could be extracted during the key exchange, wrong command implementation. There are multiple ways to get the key. Also, there are no configuration possibilities available for ZigBee in our tested systems. So this means we are not able to change the network key. We are not able to trigger a key rotation or such kind of stuff. We're not able to delete it securely or whatever we want. So key rotation, not applied. So we tested it now for 11 months. It's still the same key. We can't change it. So if one device gets compromised, we have to throw away the whole system and buy a new one, because we can't do anything then. Also, the device resets were very difficult. So the smart hub doesn't implement any reset at all. This means you can't delete the key material there. You have to physically destroy them, really, to make sure nobody gets your key. Also interesting, light bulbs do not require physical interaction. You might have experienced, usually there are some buttons you have to press for pairing, other kind of stuff. So light bulbs are constantly looking out for new networks to join until they find one. So we will take advantage of that. What do vendors do? They apply workarounds like reduced transmission power to make sure that when 2 neighbors bought the same system, don't steal the light bulbs from the other one all the time. So they reduce the transmission power of the hub for pairing, and you have to get in very close proximity to do the pairing. That's very annoying, because you have to have a power supply and Ethernet to do this. So we were heading out to our lights, the bulbs in the hand. It was very annoying. So that's also not very usable. But this way, you are sure that you're not stealing your neighbor's lights. So now we come to the fun part, to a demonstration. So we had to build a new tool for that kind of stuff. ZigBee testing tools are out there, but they were not really sufficient for our needs. We had to build some additional stuff, merge them, and take the best of them and do a new one. So our target was to make some kind of automated scanner for also targeted for developers, so they could check their implementations of the security service and the kind of stuff. So our tool is based on ZigBee Radio, KillerBee, and Miracoli. So as I said before, we merged them and extended them. Quite cool features. So we are now supporting encrypted communication. We are doing live information extraction, because there are some counters in there in the communication. You have to keep them up so you can't inject commands then properly. That's also a very hard feature. It took us the longest time to implement it correctly. We did a obviously the scan for the weak key transport, so we just sniff it and extract it automatically. And we build in a lot of features for the services like the reset to factory, join to a new network, or test security services like the request key. So we have brought 2 hardware boards today, the USRP, which is quite popular, I think, at Black Hat at the moment, and an extension board for the Raspberry Pi called Raspi. Why 2? Because the USRP we use for sniffing, because we can get a large bandwidth, so you can get all ZigBee channels and do sniffing. And the Raspberry Pi we used for command injection, because we realized there are 2 ways of doing data transfer in ZigBee. The one is direct and indirect, they are called. So in a ZigBee network, you will have battery-powered devices like our door lock, or you will have devices that are actually have a constant power supply, like the central usually. So what does this mean? The direct data transfer is for devices with power supply. So the receiver there is constantly on and looking for new packets addressing to them. So you can just send the packet and it's fine. Indirect is different because the receiver is sleeping most of the time and just sometimes wakes up and sends a data request to the hub and says, okay, is there a frame pending for me? Send it to me or not. So, and the problem is the time frame is very limited. So that's actually a mistake. So it's less than 0.8 milliseconds. So the USRP is far too slow to react to that. So it's 10 times actually too slow, because USRP is then sniffing the commands. You have to process them, extract the information, and send your commands. So we get to 8 milliseconds. But we would need less than 0.8 milliseconds to inject the commands properly. So that's why we then built our own custom firmware for the Raspberry Pi. So we are sending now using TCP the commands to the Raspberry, and the Raspberry injects it then very quickly to the network, because we have to be faster than the hub, because otherwise you will get an acknowledge that's saying, yeah, there is no frame pending. So, but we want to inject an acknowledge with, yes, there is a frame pending. We will send it to you. So that's some kind of race conditions there. So now we will head on to the demonstration. I'll hand over to my colleague.
Okay, we have prepared a couple of demonstrations for you guys. The first one showing how to extract the key from the pairing process. Well, this is a live demo, so keep your fingers crossed that all works. Before we switch over to Tobias's view on his laptop, a few notes here to the pairing process. First of all, the pairing process itself should be encrypted, and you might think, well, we are sniffing data here, ZigBee encrypted data, very nice, but how do we get the key out of that? Well, we know the fallback mechanism is insecure, and earlier Tobias explained that most of the vendors, basically all that we've seen, implement the fallback mechanism as default. Well, that means that when we sniff the traffic, this encrypted traffic is not better than plain text because we have the key to decrypt it. That's the standard default link key, network link key. Good. So well, I'll switch over to Tobias now. And he can show the tool. That's the wrong screen. Yeah.
So that's actually our tool. We added a graphical user interface, so wow. Yeah. I started the sniffing now, and the devices are, so the USRP is set in sniffing mode and waits for ZigBee transmitted. So now we have our smart hub here. I put the smart hub in pairing mode, and I will also add our lock to the network now.
So that was basically the pairing process. Lock is now paired with the hub. That was very quick. Normally you would have to wait for the lock to tell you what button to press, and Tobias did it very quickly. What you can see in there is basically the network keys that were extracted from the traffic.
So that's good. It's also now in our tool. to... that's hard. Yeah, it's in there. So, yeah, we now have the key.
Cool, we have the key. So after disclosing this weakness, we thought we might talk to the vendor about how to handle that. But their response was basically, well, that's not really an issue because the time frame for that to happen is very limited. Good, time frame is limited, proximity is required, close proximity is required, and key extraction only works during pairing. So what would a typical attacker do now to actually extend that time frame? Well, he would just trust into the end user to repair devices whenever they lose their connection or whenever they get unresponsive. So in this case, we have the human factor in there to extend this window of possibility to exploit the actual vulnerability. The attacker just jams the communication channel and waits for the user to repair the device. Good. So what I have here is a quick video that just shows the normal operation of our setup. There's a motion sensor in the box that you can see on the bottom. And this motion sensor will detect motion and will send the motion to the hub, which is well, basically the white thing in the middle. And whenever motion is detected, the hub will turn on the light. That's pretty straightforward. Just to show you what should happen is somebody lifts the box, command is sent, light goes on. Okay, good. So what I'm going to show now is we have on the left side a computer is running GNU Radio and will be starting GNU Radio to jam the channel. This is basically really easy. You just have a noise generator, generates noise. You send it on the frequency channel that is used by the devices. You know the channel by you can sniff. So it's channel 1 to 20, I think. And well, as ZigBee devices only use very low transmit power, you can easily jam a lot of ZigBee devices in near field. So a couple of, well, if you have a couple of houses or even a block, you can easily jam it with low transmit power. Yeah. So I'll just start the video and show you what happens. Jamming is activated. Now we lift the box, nothing happens. I mean, that's obvious because device can't talk to the hub anymore. And even after stopping the jamming, that's normal operation. The device could send, but it doesn't because it only sends the motion and forgets about it somehow. I don't know. This is a special case. Normally, it should retransmit the motion detected. You can see in the background that there's a small app running in the laptop in the middle. This app is the SmartThings Hub application that also shows that no motion was detected in the app. So if you're using this for your alarm system, it's also a bad thing. It's not only used for forcing a user to repair. This could also be interesting for somebody trying to break into your house and just wants to deactivate all motion sensors. Good. So the next thing we want to start actually is command injection. That would be a live demo. The bad news is that the firmware that we flashed on here on the Raspberry is not working. So either the hardware is broken on here. I mean, we had a long trip. This was lying around for a long time. We didn't have time to test it properly. So either the firmware is broken or something communication is wrong. The good news is we still have a video showing the same thing happening. So I would now switch to the laptop showing the video instead of doing the live demo. Sie drauf? Just 1 second. Good. The setup you can see here is the ZigBee tool is on the laptop. On the left, we have in the middle, you can see a piece of, actually small piece of the screen where it only shows the SmartThings app. And on the right side, this is the lock built into a really small door. I mean, we didn't do a very good job in building it in, but you can see this is the lock. I'll just start the video and show what happens. Maybe you can, Tobias, can explain what happens on the laptop, because you won't see us pressing buttons on the laptop directly. You
So
can't-
what you actually see is, in the middle is the smart app. So I used it to
Sorry.
to open the door and lock it again. So you see the change from the green button to orange, which is actually unlocked. So now you can see that the door is open, and I lock it again using the app. So it's changing to green, and the bolt is going out. So it's locked. So what I do now is I just use our tool and inject the appropriate command into the network using the Raspberry. So it's also open, but on the smartphone app, it's still closed. So the lock accepts our commands, but as a user, you're not aware of that because the hub doesn't recognize it, which is which is not good for you. As a nice intruder, I could also lock it again, and you would have no clue that ever somebody was in your house.
Good.
So that's when you have the network key, but when you don't have the network key? There are also some possibilities. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So there's other ways to open a log. Obviously, this is a ZigBee-enabled log. We also tried to lockpick it using traditional tools. We just recorded a quick video where you can see. Just watch the video. Really.
This $300 lock and open in 10 seconds.
So that's open.
Even I made it, and I'm not very good at lockpicking, so.
Okay, so that was the log story.
Yeah. So what else could you do without the network key? We call it device hijacking. As mentioned before, light bulbs are constantly looking for new networks to join, and we have the feature like reset to factory. So this means we can just send the reset to factory command to a light bulb and just add it to our system. This is actually very easy. We thought, yesterday we wanted to test it in our hotel room, but there are such huge amount of ZigBee-enabled devices, we didn't manage to find our device again. It was very funny, yeah? So first I thought, the tool is going crazy, so many devices, but then I realized, okay, the room control is operating using ZigBee. So what they offer you is make your lamps blink to identify the correct light bulb, even without any knowledge of secret keys or that kind of stuff. So this is how we do identifying our correct target, then reset it to default settings, and then join it to our network. As you see here, that's the light. On the button, there's a remote control. The system is paired and working, and we are just resetting it. So we made it blink, so that's our correct lamp. It still works. You can do that without disrupting the communication. Then we do a reset, a short blink, so it's resetted. Join to our network, and the remote control doesn't work anymore. So now we are in control of the device. So that's actually a very nice example of you don't need to know the network key in some cases when the usability is far higher than the demand for usability is higher than the demand for security. So they made it very, very easy. You don't have to press a button. You just join it to your network. If you do the same stuff for other things, that would be crazy. So, summary, what did we learn on our investigations about ZigBee? So they are providing really good security measures. They would enable you to make it good, but requirements due to interoperability weakens the security level drastically. So the vendors then also implement only the minimum level to be compliant, and get certified. So we know this already. Compliance is the most important thing in our lives. Yeah. Usability overrules security in IoT in this moment because there is a fight for market share. There is no main standard for wireless communications. There are a lot of out there, like Z-Wave and Ocean, and they're all fighting for market share in the moment, so they want the users to buy it. So the picture on the right is actually a very good illustration of my picture of ZigBee security. In the first look, you see a solid door and think, okay, this level of security should be appropriate. There might be ways to circumvent it, but that's fine. When you take a step back or shift your perspective, you will find some attack vectors that are very easily to overcome and to use for exploiting a network and take over the network. So what are the key points we want you to take away today is be aware to proper implementation of security, not looking for being compliant to the standard and doing certification. Implement the recommendations in the standard there. They are good. So make it secure and not only be compliant and get certified. Also, learn from history. Don't make the same mistakes again and again. Security by obscurity does not work. It's not the principle to go. And also, last point, very important, there is a world beside TCP/IP. So in the IoT world, a lot of wireless communication is going on at the moment, and they're mostly not using Wi-Fi for that kind of stuff. The small sensors just don't manage to do Wi-Fi. Too much resources would be required to do this. So you should be aware there's a huge attack surface on this level. So as I said before, the guys flying over Austin, 18 minutes, 800 devices, and that's maybe, I don't know the height they flew, but when you do a really good antenna, it might be even more. So we want to thank you. It was a pleasure to speak to you today. And if you have any questions, now it's time, or afterwards.